who better to decode the budget highlights with us than Mr. K.V. Subramanian? He is the Executive Director at the IMF, someone who's looked at this space very, very closely and who has a lot to say always. Thank you for your time in this interaction. I'd like to begin by asking you the big hits and the big misses for the interim budget that, to your mind, come at the moment.
So I would use the following acronym for the budget: JNV. J for judicious, N for non-populist, and V for visionary. To me, the visionary aspect is that the 1 lakh crore 50-year loans for innovation, especially, and you would recall that in the 2020-21 economic survey we'd written on innovation, the fact that India had broken into the top 50 in innovation rankings for the first time, and giving impetus to that, giving impetus to research, especially as somebody who started out as a researcher, that gladdens my heart enormously. It is judicious because the fiscal consolidation path that has been laid is, I think, is very credible. That has been the case, even when I was part of government. That was a feature of the budgets in recent years, and I think the 5.8% which has been announced for this year, my sense is the actual number will be lower than that. And even if you take the projections for revenue for the next year, 5.1%, unless some change happens in the budget that the new government presents, I think that number also is conservative. And non-populist because there has been no populist measure, and I think which I would say is consistent with the theme of this government. Even in 2019, when I was part of the government, the PM Kisan scheme was announced, but that actually I don't call it populist because I'd said at that time that this will bring in investment and very high quality research by Pulak Ghosh at IIM Bangalore and this PhD student from University of Chicago Booth School of Business show that PM Kisan has indeed actually led to greater investment. So it was a very good economic move. I think consistent with that, non-populist, judicious on the fiscal front, and visionary, especially on on tourism, on the giving states incentive to spend on capex and on innovation, that innovation fund.
All right, so visionary, prudent, not populist is his first take. I'd like to then ask you that, look, people sitting at home are talking about job generation. Mm-hmm. We've heard about the focus on, of course, green energy, green growth, a new scheme announced there. We've heard about the focus on railways in particular as part of the infrastructure capex push. So your thoughts really on job generation, and to those watching at home and saying, well, at the moment the interim budget isn't really impacting my life. Your message to all of those people then?
So I think if we look at the capital expenditure spending, that has created jobs in the construction sector, because whenever there is creation of infrastructure, construction obviously happens. Overall, if you look at, and I was looking at some of the data put out by PLFS, if you look at the youth employment, about 3.1 crore jobs have been created in the last 5-6 years,